Ahoj, tady je Viktor Hanačík a vítejte u další epizody 32 Bar Talk, oficiálního podcastu Jazzfestu Brno. Máme tu hosta Makayu McCraven, pomalu přejdu do angličtiny. Hi everyone, I'm Viktor Hanačík. Welcome to the special episode of 32 Bar Talk, the official podcast of Jazzfest Brno. Today I'm filling in for our regular host, and honestly I couldn't be happier to be here with one of the most forward-thinking drummers, producers and composers in the contemporary jazz. An artist who merged live improvisation with studio production, turning spontaneous performance into living, evolving composition. Please welcome Makaya McCraven. Makaya, welcome to Brno.
Thank you for having me.
And welcome to the show. It's a real pleasure having you here. And thanks for taking your time before the show tonight. Let's start simple. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It's great to get here at Brno, and we just left Prague, and we had a wonderful time, and it's been really beautiful. Yeah.
You've been playing in Prague last night. How was it? How do you like the city and the audience?
You know, I've only been to Prague once before, but this time we had a full day to really experience some things and get to spend some more time with some people, and I was just really kind of taken with how, I don't know, welcoming that everybody felt, and just like really nice vibes, really good. Yeah, super great.
Yeah, Prague is one of the most beautiful city in Europe. Do you have any other favorite cities in Europe while touring and performing?
Well, I've been around Europe my whole life, really. I was born in Paris, and it's always great going back to Paris, and have some special relationships with London, which is I guess not Europe anymore, but also Budapest, where my mother is from. I really love
Yeah, Budapest. I've been there in the summer. It's also a very beautiful city. Yeah, the big river. And did you meet any musical people here in Prague?
Not yet. I didn't. I might have met a few musicians who introduced themselves yesterday, but I didn't have like a chance to really meet somebody more closely.
Yeah, hopefully tonight. There's a lot of musicians in Brno. So you've been based in Chicago for a while, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm interested in the city. It has such a deep and influential history, musical history and cultural history. How do you see Chicago today? Do you still feel the creative energy and freedom?
Absolutely. I think Chicago is just full of incredible creative minds and forward-thinking people, and who have a commitment to a certain values in the arts that I find really inspiring and keeps me really grounded, where I think we're a little less pulled in every direction of what's popular, trying to keep up with the trends, but the city really harbors a intent of making strong and powerful work that's meaningful. And so that's something I really appreciate about that city, and I feel really upheld by my colleagues and my contemporaries, as well as like the long history of like who came before us with the art ensemble and AACM, and as well as so many young, incredible musicians right now coming up. And so it's a great place to live and create a life as an artist.
Yeah, I believe so. There's so many great creative minds from there. Do you have any favorite venue there? I've never been there, but I just want to imagine how it looks like.
Yeah, there's some great classic venues. I mean, Constellation, Mike Reed's Constellation is a really great place that presents a lot of creative music. I've always loved playing at the Green Mill, which is just like one of the oldest jazz clubs in the country or world, I guess. Also you have the Jazz Showcase, and then often I've been playing a lot more standing room venues as well. We just played a really great hall called Thalia Hall, which is more like a 1,000-person kind of room. They do seats and chairs or standing. But there's a lot of great venues, and also a lot of what's really been inspiring to me. There's a lot of bars and small clubs that will have music or will bring a band in, and it's not necessarily a full-time music venue, but they might have music 3 nights a week, and local musicians play there, and you can go see world-class music at a local bar. And that, I think that's one of the coolest things, and some of my favorite places to play in Chicago are like on the local scene, in like a bar that has like a scene of musicians who are hanging there, playing there a few times a night, and it really creates a great community for the art.
I would love to go there sometimes to America to experience this kind of culture and musical vibes. In Brno, we have a lot of cool places. There is also like very often 7 times a week a different program of music. So we have a really choice where to go. And jazz is very popular here, hopefully. And this place, Cabaret, the Péchés, where we are recording, has that similar American cabaret vibes, but it's based on the old European cabaret and renovate in the modern way. I would like to dig more into your older records, because one of my favorite is Universal Beings. You are known for a beat collage approach, turning live improvisation into new compositions. And one of my favorite is, how I said, Universal Beings from 2018. I still have it on CD in my car and blasting it occasionally and listening the new layers and the constellation of sound. So please, how do you remember from this creative period?
That was a special moment for me, I think, because there was, a lot of new possibilities. When I came up, it felt like we did In the Moment, which was my first record that kind of got international acclaim. And that opened a lot of doors. And so by the couple years down the line when we were doing Universal Beings, I had new opportunities to work with people in LA or work with people in London. And so it was a really exciting and creative time. And when we did those London sessions, particularly London sessions, it really felt like we were breaking some new ground, both me and International Anthem together. And so there was a big excitement, and I think I was very personally inspired to be working on that project with just all the opportunity was there, and seeing some of my concepts that I had been searching through with In the Moment or in Highly Rare, that moment when we were making Where We Come From and Universal Beings kind of at the same time. I made both of those. It was just it was just really exciting to kind of feel like some of my ideas were being they were taking shape out in the real world, and I was getting a really great response. And so that was like, oh wow, I want to do more. I want to work with Brandy Younger on this one. I want to go to LA. I want to work with these London musicians that I've been meeting now that I'm starting to tour internationally, and they had a buzz and we had a good rapport. And so it was a really vibrant moment for me, and I think that definitely helped me in the process of and creating the music.
Yeah, I think that record really stand the test of the time. And I always liked driving while and listening a lot of jazz. You've been quite active lately. A lot of releases this year. Some older, some from the newest session. Yeah, I'm interested in the Technologic EP. It feels like a mix of hip-hop groups, loops, and a search for something timeless. Yeah, something from the 90s, maybe, I feel. Where did the name Technologic came from, and what was the idea behind that record?
That EP is really about the people on the record, the musicians. That band is Ben Lamar Gay playing cornet and vocals and some synthesizers, and Theon Cross on tuba. And to me, that project, Technologic, is all about the three of us coming together as kind of a group. And we first did it in London on live air on the radio, and which was recorded and is some of the music on the record. And then as well, we recorded a few more times, and that band is a sound. And we played a show in Berlin last year that was at like kind of a DIY throw up event by International Anthem, and it was really a lot of energy. And Ben and Thea and I, we did a improvised performance, and Ben started kind of going in about technology in one of the tracks, the track Technology. And so I just I named that EP after that, and I think it was this marriage of like, yes, the technology of the production and the sounds and stuff we're doing, but a lot of what he's also saying, he's like, technology, you know, are things better than they were before, or can we do it? And I think this marriage between like how technology is pushing us forward, but also where we can look back to the past to the things that have kept us going for centuries and millennium, to also not lose value in that, and actually some of that stuff may be deeper, richer, and have more prosperity for our future than the technology that is we're relying upon right now.
Yeah, so this conversation about technology and these ideas were driven by the new EP into the life, yeah?
Yeah. But it came directly from Ben Lamar Gay's lyrics. He said technology, I said technologic. It's just a play on those words.
Yeah, thank you for that. I've been listening for quite times, and this is also my favorite, the newest one, and hopefully we can hear some of the new music tonight. The next question is kind of about influences, because a lot of young musicians across UK and Europe, many young bands are blending jazz, electronics, and experimental music into some kind of fusion. Does modern electronic music outside jazz inspire you too?
Absolutely. I think my perspective on being a musician and an artist is to learn about all the musics that I'm hearing and having a relationship with all of it. Stuff both that I love and is definitely my cup of tea, but also just all music's being kind of made, and I'm curious about the processes and motivations of artists today in the world, because that helps inform me how I might want to be an artist, both in what I like and might not like. But when it comes to, you know, electronic music, there's so much music now is interfacing with electronics. I mean, everything we record is mostly going to digital at some point, and so I think it's highly influential. And to me, when it comes to like looking at how I want to make my music, I'm trying to look towards everything and anything fresh that's kind of, and sometimes now that's also, sometimes it could be a rejection of that. It'd be like, well, you know, technology is so prevalent in music. I also want to do things to go against that grain as well. And I try to do that with my work too, where I'm using technology, but I'm also saying like, you know, there's something really valuable in the live experience. There's something really valuable in improvisation and things that are free from technology. And if we can engage with both and have like a healthy discussion about it, you know, maybe that's that symbiosis is something that is good for our future.
Yeah, I like that idea, because a lot of new music is getting quite chaotic and very diverse. So I like to get back to the original or old school, something timeless. And a lot of jazz musicians are doing that. And I will be asking you next question with your collaborators, because I have some favorite jazz musician like Nubaya Garcia that was here in Jazz Fest Festival a couple years ago, or Shabaka Hutchins, which is no longer active on saxophone, but still playing.
So I've seen him. I've seen him playing the saxophone online recently.
So he's getting back to the instrument.
He's getting back to it.
Oh, I love to hear that. So, what are they like collaborators? Do you have any stories from the studio? On the road, do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. Like for those particular people, like Nubaya and Shabaka, now I've known for almost 10 years, and getting to know them has been quite inspiring. And seeing how they came up on the London jazz scene. I mean, between Shabaka, talk about three saxophonists, Soweto Kinch, Shabaka Hutchings, and Nubaya Garcia, kind of all occupy a slightly different age. They might be separated by, between 5-10 years between all of them. But they all kind of came up on this London scene, which has been really vibrant. And getting to know them has been, really inspiring, and how they kind of have their own perspective on this music from the way they came to it, and Afro-Caribbean roots, is giving me a lot of perspective, and also just giving me, I really love that there is this larger international community. I mean, my dad, who lives in Paris, has been living in Paris for decades, and since I was born, really, he's often playing with musicians in Poland, and where there's a lot of great jazz musicians.
You're right.
A lot of great jazz musicians.
I was doing some interviews with the jazz musicians in Poland.
Yeah, and so to me, I'm inspired by the idea that, the music isn't centered completely in one place, but a movement like this is broad and has seeds all over the world. There's incredible musicians, and people move, and I think often there's a discussion because of like where the industry lives, and commercial music is like, okay, New York City or LA or even London, have a lot of industry there, even more so than I'd say Chicago. Which feels like, as a Chicagoan, it's felt like, okay, we'll be like, hey, remember us over here? And you got to work to push yourself into the thing, even though it is historically known as a jazz town. But because of the way that the industry works, we often overlook things beyond just the first big ones we hear. And so, like, in the States, London, I think, was a surprise to some people in the industry, and I think there's a lot of people, when it comes to the larger commercial music industry, are unaware of how many great artists there are in so many cities and smaller cities around the world. And so part of Universal Beings was trying, even though it was big cities like Chicago, LA, and London and New York, the part of the concept was really to be like, you know what, there are many scenes, and there are many people in these different places, and for me, getting the opportunity to, like, I'm gonna play with these guys, I'm gonna meet you, and I'm gonna learn something from playing with Shabaka, I'm gonna learn something from playing with Nubaya, we're gonna have a friendship and an exchange, that just seems to me just endlessly, there's like endless possibilities of growth and learning, and maybe an example of the way the world can work together in things that have a little bit more effect directly on people's lives, and so through art, I hope to like create some examples of like working together, working beyond borders, meeting new people, recognizing that this place isn't always just the greatest place, but there's greatness all around us to engage with, and to try to like find people and things to connect with to make a more beautiful world.
Beautifully said. Yeah, new musicians coming from everywhere. Yes, some discovered, some not.
You go to New York City. Yeah. Also, if you go to New York City and you go to the scene where it's like this is the happening place, and you really go around, and you'll notice that the musicians that are there are from everywhere. Everybody goes there to interface with the commercial scene, because this is where opportunity is, this is where other people learn from is. But if you go there, you actually see, wow, like this is an internationally diverse community of people who came to this place, immigrated to be together. And it has not necessarily to do with being from there.
Earlier this year, I was having opportunity to speak with Kessa Overall, the drummer.
Yeah.
You probably know. We were talking about you.
Yep.
Because you are my favorite drummer, and he's my favorite drummer. So, and he was saying, like, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. So I want to ask, who are those giants for, like the ancestors of drumming?
Gosh, so many. Let me give it out to Jack DeJohnette, who just passed. A huge inspiration both on the drums and just as a creative force, when he was making music and talking about what to call his music, calling it multi-directional music, looking for ways to like redefine things from like, or not be defined from the external forces, but also being just a creative force on the instrument in every way. For Tony, all your Tony Williams and Elvin and Blakey are all big influences of mine, and then down to like people in the pocket, Steve Jordan, and even Questlove and Brian Blade. I mean, there's so many great drummers that I could say I'm sitting on shoulders. In terms of like artists as well. I know it's simple, but it's like I often think about Miles Davis and Duke Ellington, as these people who have, or Wayne Shorter and Herbie Hancock, but people who've really defined a lot of the boundaries of like what this music is, but at the very same time as defining those boundaries, we're very vocal about not being categorized by the outside world. And so it's like, I look at like a Duke Ellington, who is very much an architect of the canon of what jazz is, right? This is like Duke Ellington. But he also was like, don't call my music jazz. He said, this is the music of Duke Ellington. And so to be a jazz musician like him, for me, is also to question, what is this called, and what is this, and who is influencing me to make what, or can I just make what I'm making my music? And so I think that is part of the tradition of jazz, is to also question what it is and question if this title fits in this moment, or if this is, and so I look beyond just to these drummers I name, but to like these artists that really try to define a certain way and approach to learning music, creating music, and putting it out there without the boundaries of like these narrow ideas of genre.
Yes, and speaking of Kasa's work, Kasa overall, he's kind of new generation, melting with drumming, but also emceeing. How do you see his work that bridge jazz and hip hop so naturally? I
mean, Kasa's dope. That's my homie, and he's a real inspiration of mine. I've seen his show number of times in different configurations, and his ability to one, of course, be a great drummer, but like to be able to get on the mic, and the way he's brought up. I mean, I've been inspired by the way he's brought up a lot of younger musicians. He brings his band full of like great young players that really support his vision. And we've now almost 10 years we've been kind of just connected as friends, and then, but I think even furthermore, that's like somebody like Kasa, I feel the same things happen to me. There's a lot of talking about, it's like, okay, Kasa's blending hip hop and jazz and he raps and he does this, but Kasa's he's a bad MF. He's a really great musician and drummer, and thoughtful player, like who's worked with Jerry Allen and a lot of real people. And one of the things I think is really one of his strengths, I think actually doesn't get talked about as much, is that he's an incredible arranger. Like I think the way he puts his shows together and his arrangements, the way he arranged this last record of all the hip hop classics, with these jazz arrangements, I think it was really great penmanship in terms of like his arranging, and he's a great friend and inspiration, and just can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah, me too. I really enjoyed chatting with him, and it's funny. Maybe he's playing on Thursday in Prague also, so it's the same week like you are here.
Great.
So two great American drummers. Yeah, what a pleasure for Czech.
I think Nate Smith is coming through as well, maybe.
Yeah. Also, this season is packed. Yeah, definitely. So I would touch maybe spirituality, because this podcast like to talk also deeper topics. You often describe jazz as a spiritual music, sometimes transformative. And I'm personally fascinated by Afrofuturism, but your music feels rooted in tradition and evolution. How do you see the connection between spirit, improvisation, and time in your music?
Well, I think music is inherently dealing with concepts that are beyond the simple world for us to explain. We're going into the space of the unknown, right? And things that aren't fully defined or explained or have more to keep on unraveling. And that's where the deepest things, and to me, spirituality kind of exists. And like, where does my rational mind end, and where do I start to have to deal with other concepts or questioning, you know? And I think there's some really simple things that I've been trying to touch on in this last tour. Like, I think improvisation in itself, this idea that we're making things up in the moment or being in the moment is inherently a spiritual concept. You know, I think it's an expression of the natural state of being, right? Like, everybody all the time is improvising. You don't know the future. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you'll be alive in 5 minutes from now. You know, you have to have some faith, and then you have to improvise through that moment. You know, and that, even with all the structures and the schedules and getting here on time and the buildings and the jobs and the money and the farming and the agriculture, all of that is all functions of trying to survive a very complicated and complex and cruel, scary, confusing, and beautiful world. And we have to ultimately sharpen our skills, as a musician does, whether that with your scales and your time signatures and all the things that you have, to then be able to navigate any situation that comes ahead of you, right? Whether that's musical or otherwise. And that's what we're doing as musicians and who are improvising. It's like you sharpen your sets of skills and ideas to be able to navigate, whether we're improvising over a complex form or doing something that's way more wild and off the cuff. But all of it can be done in the spirit of being in the moment and being fully present. And to me, that is inherently dealing with some sort of spirituality, right? We're dealing with otherworldliness. We're dealing with, you know, I think even the recorded realm, when we listen to records, we start taking time and repeating it and putting it in a virtual space. The virtual world, when we're going inward, you know, rather than fully externalizing. And so I think there's a lot of ways that, you know, even time, even dealing with time itself, you know, time doesn't exist, like, or we can't measure it without adding a rhythm. Once you add a rhythm, consistent pulse, we can measure time, you know? And so I think music and improvisation and these things that like engage with the human spirit and our curiosity, and things that there's a finish line where science has been able to explain it. We can say this is where we got, but like certain things like within music or art still go beyond that and gets to a place where it's like the language of music can speak to things that words will be challenging to put into words. Or it's like, you want to describe what you hear, either you got to describe it in specific notes, keys, and all of that, or you got to use colorful language to be like, it made me feel like this, and it made me feel blue, and it made me feel, you know, but that doesn't describe what the music actually did. The music is speaking to you in a way that you have to then figure out the language to give it. And to then, so the music is speaking on a different vibration and frequency than our words are able to describe. And we can do our best to describe it. But all of this to me is inherently dealing in these spiritual realms that are beyond just simple science to be able to explain. We need art, we need music, we need emotion or different ways of communicating with each other beyond just tight syntax because that the words and writing will never fully encapsulate the depth and beauty of the human experience. Just like you could take a picture of anything, any vista, anywhere you've been, and it won't do justice to what you witness with your own eyes. And I think that's real. That's spiritual to me.
Wow, poetically said. Yeah, I like it. And I believe the art is here to express things that are sometimes beyond word. And I believe also that there is more than rational mind. Yeah, for example, intuition and this concept.
And that connects us to each other and to things that are like beyond our ability to explain. And we can try to explain it, but even when we do, we'll still kind of fall short.
Yeah, sometimes we fail to describe or grasp a concept that are in music, but we, the journalists or the people writing about it, have to try at least.
They try, yeah, and that's where it's like, you know, I talk a lot sometimes about like jazz, and don't call me jazz, but at the end of the day, like we got to use words, and so it's more of like this is like it's broader than that to me.
Yeah, it's much broader. I have a couple of last questions. Because you have a set tonight here, so what can we expect from tonight's show in Brno? Briefly, will it be a mix of your discography or more open improvisation with players?
No, we're going to be playing off the discography. We'll be playing primarily music from the new EPs off the record, and we will be doing maybe a couple other pieces, you know, from my discography, maybe something off of In These Times and something maybe even off of Deciphering the Message. We've been switching it up, but the bulk of this set is around the different EPs on off the record, and using those as kind of a vehicle for improvisation. You know, so like the music was created as pure improvisations, and then I compose out of them through the technology, and now they're like, this is a chance for us to kind of play like a jazz band and have some forms to improvise through, and then that also will lead to some maybe full improvisation moments as well, and kind of a combination.
Yeah, looking forward for that. On the technical side, what's your favorite drum kit?
Well, I've been playing Ludwig drums for first Ludwig kit I got was my freshman year of college, and I still have that drum set, and then I kind of through the years I had a relationship with them, and so I like to play like kind of vintage Ludwig kit with a 20-inch bass drum, and just that the drums they have a classic kind of feel, and I find they're really versatile, and so. For me, where I really like to be able to, on a dime, kind of switch up styles or like reference different types of music as I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing. These Ludwig drums have really kind of like had that versatility and just kind of like that grid sound that it's always consistent for me.
Yeah, and when you are touring, do you have a favorite food or drink that keeps you going? Some favorite kitchen from the world?
No, you know, food is really important to us when we're on the road. You know, there's a lot of being away from home and a lot of tight situations and eating on the go and all this. So the style of food is less important to me, but finding a fabulous meal while on tour is one of the most important things to me. Sometimes, you know, we've had some great we've had great meals all over the world. Italy always likes to, it's not only that the food is good, I think it's that the people really care to show you that the food is really good. And so the pride that comes into when somebody says, you must come here, you must eat this meal, you must stay for dessert, you must eat this, and you must drink this.
So proud of the kid.
And even if it's not your favorite style of food, that pride in like wanting to serve you and wanting to show you something is something I come across like, wow, that was really special and soulful. Like, it was really soulful. The people really put their heart into saying like, this is something that we do and that we want you to experience. And like, yeah, I could say Italian food is not necessarily my favorite food in the world, but I do really really respect that experience. I really respect people who are putting their heart into whatever their craft may be, whether it's food or making clothes or being an artist or being a musician. So yeah, we were just in Italy, and I always appreciate that. The passion to me is more important than even the end result, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. The passion behind it. Even with the food or with the music, it has to be driven by a lot of passion and ideas. Yeah, so thanks for your time. I have no more questions about the music. And thank you for bringing such a deep living music into the world, and wish you inspiration, good health, and strong set tonight here in Brno, Makaya.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.